nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me
And yeah, I have to turn that off, and I have to add Iain Hay to the picture.
Invite me as well.
I have to invite you in. After some of the most complicated air drumming known to man, we are here. We're live. Welcome to the Scottish Rugby Podcast. It's me, John Anderson, back at the helm. I've already indicated. Currently, I'm joined by Iain Hay. Iain, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. A little flustered. There was some technical issues. There always is. That's because I'm a Luddite.
Well, if I could put out a massive shout out to our followers tonight, both me and Iain are on new mics. So could you please tell us where we're at volume wise, give us a wee indication, and we'll adjust it if we need to. I think, Iain, you might already need to come up just a tiny wee touch. So I'll adjust that as well.
Really?
As we're
Move myself closer, or
no,
is that a
no,
you thing?
I can adjust you. Try you now.
You sound fine, by the way. Hello.
Oh, thank you. Well, I do try. I do try.
I could use one of my. I had loads of funny names made up. No, these are secret. We'll save these for patrons, I think.
Okay, right. Well, we'll save something for the patrons.
This is a long con thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Interesting stuff. You sound fine, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's good to be back. It's been a few weeks.
Sorry, now this stupid. See, also got a new camera thing with this blinding light, which is currently blocking the window I want to block. There we go. I have now also lost the sight of my left eye.
Oh, how did you manage that?
So most people won't hear. What? Oh, just by staring at this. Honestly, this
all right,
light
okay.
is ridiculous.
Well, if you've joined us and you think, do you know what? I want to know more about Iain's left eye deficit. Then you can head over to patreon.com/Scottish Rugby Podcast, where you can support us for £3 a month. You'll get access to exclusive content and all sorts of other wizardry. Yes, we do put our hands in the ruck stuff behind the paywall, but if you want to come and join us, yes, patreon.com/Rugby Podcast. It's heading over the bottom just now there if you're watching live, and if you're not, well, I've just read it out for you. What more do you need? Head on over and join us. I think we're going to have a good hands in the ruck today, but today in the show we might be joined. Oh, Iain, for those of you on audio, Iain is basically doing a handoff to the camera just now, and it is quite spectacular. We're going to look at, obviously, the Scottish
women. It's a piston, lad.
It's a piston, yeah. We're going to look at Scotland women against Wales. What a match that was. That's going to be some discussion there. I've got a wee rant after that regarding women's rugby and access to women's rugby. And then if we do have time, we'll come on to Edinburgh and Glasgow if we can. But if not, we'll carry that forward.
And also the future, there's so much other news.
Well, there is. Well, yeah. Well, we start with news, actually, Iain. Do you want to give us some news?
All right. Right. So the first bit of news we'll start. There's so much. New performance director role at the SRU.
Yes, indeed. Yes, that was announced today, wasn't it? Yeah. So the new Jim Malander.
So it's Kellick and I've forgotten the other last name now. Fellow even Harlequins. 4 people allegedly up for the role. That's
Right.
2 we know. But this is just speculation just now, and also, I mean, this is just the appetizers before we get to the Scotland women beating Wales.
Yeah, the real chat here. Yeah, it's interesting. Kellock, to me, if you're talking about a performance director role, Kellock to me doesn't strike me as he's a very good commercial director. He's not necessarily a performance director.
Yeah, it's like he's never seemed to. He's not got around to any coaching things,
No,
did he?
exactly. Yeah, he's not coached at any level. So how can you develop the future of Scottish rugby if you haven't coached at any level?
I don't know. You would have to ask the person who might want to appoint Al Kellock that job.
Might be a rhetorical question. Who knows?
Who might that even be? Seeing as Mark Dawson's also on the way out. We're talking root and branch. Talking of like one, as we're doing this quickly, and also we need to include. We're the Scottish Rugby podcast. We're not just pro national. Hoik, big changes ahead.
Yes.
Matty Stewart, who's led them to the League and Cup double last year. The boys only like 34. Wait, am I getting Matty Stewart and Matt Douglas mixed up? Please tell me if not. I have, haven't I?
You have. I think.
It's been announced that his contract, they are in the final with home advantage against Curry for the Premiership title. Obviously, the Premiership's going to be rejigged and what have you next year. However, they have said that most of the coaching team's contracts won't be extended. Well, him and his assistant, the rest are under review. But I find that quite strange that, after
a successful campaign.
What are your KPIs here? It's like you've won stuff, quite a lot of stuff. You're going to win stuff again. Why would you get rid of him? It's not even like it's. If it was somebody's offered, like, we'll sign him out the rest of his contract, then you could understand it. A young coach who's expelled.
You would advertise that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but instead it's just his contract's not up for renewal, which is just bizarre.
Maybe they've got eyes on a former Scotland international who might want a role into coaching to rehabilitate.
Please,
his
there's
life.
been enough jokes about that on. We'll do them in Patreon because they're really not suitable for this kind of content.
We are thankfully joined by the peacekeeper himself. It is Craig Manson. Craig, welcome to the podcast tonight. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Yeah. Sorry for my tardiness. Had a few wee issues to sort out. So thank you for your patience and love. And I'm here and I'm ready to go.
No worries, Craig. I'll just turn you up very slightly in your mic as well, pal.
Sorry, I was talking quite quietly there. I was being subdued.
Were you subdued?
Just wait till we start talking about other things. I may not be as subdued.
Well, the Edinburgh defence, I think, might. What's that?
He was a bit loud there.
Was he a bit loud there? Aye, well.
Was I a bit loud?
No, I liked yours, like the early start. It was kind of like late night radio.
Yes. This is Craig Manson here to ask the question: did Edinburgh have defence?
This one's for all you truckers out there. This is Radar Love.
This is one for all you truckers out there.
Right, what other news have we got? We've got Al Kellock, who is grossly incompetent in terms of taking over as performance manager.
Look,
what else is happening, Ian?
Tell you what, slightly linkage to that. Johnny Petrie has left Ulster. Mutual agreement
That's
John,
that
thank you very much.
that's the Dan is
After
out the door. So
short
Johnny,
spell
you
of
are
gardening
also
leave.
out the door.
Shown the door.
Bang bang, you are gone, son.
And one of our friends with the podcast, like we're early doors, we should get into this. Anyone with desires to move into the coaching sphere or anyone with the coaching experience looking to, move somewhere, Straven Rugby Club are looking for people. Now, for those who are not local to Straven, it's spelt Strathaven. So if you're going to Google it, it's kind of near East Kilbride. I mean, I came a cropper off the roundabout there when I was a kid on the roundabout. Aye.
Ian, this is down. It's going downhill. Ian started talking about driving about places. That didn't work out well last week.
Oh, none of it works well. Mean driving. I don't know why I'm a driver. It's honestly terrible.
So Straven have a vacancy or a number of vacancies.
They have vacancies, I believe, for their head coaching team. There is a long extended Google thing, but hang on, I had it on the Facebook. Just look up Straven Rugby Club. Like on the social medias, it'll be there. I saw it on Facebook.
What we'll do, Ian, is
we'll link it to this. We'll put it on our Twitters.
The podcast, and we'll advertise it as well. We'll probably not on the podcast itself, but yeah, Straven are looking for people to get involved. If you are an aspiring coach and you want to go and be part of a club, Straven are looking for bodies. So head on over, give them a wee shout, and see if you might be the next Gregor Townsend, God forbid, or you might be the next Franco Smith.
Here's the question, though: are we doing news at the moment?
News at the moment, Ian. Sorry, Craig. Yeah, if you've got news,
have we covered the biggest news and the biggest hole in my heart?
Oh, the saddest news.
The saddest news for Big
We
Craig.
haven't yet.
No.
We haven't yet. No, we're coming on to that. Craig.
All right, I'll let you crack on then.
I mean, that almost deserves a special episode to itself, doesn't it?
It really does.
It does. Really well, let's cover it now, Craig. Yes, of course. After a disturbing and quite embarrassing defeat to the Stormers, none other than WP Nel, VP, if you want to suffer. Are we going to have to stand in our seats for this one, Ian?
I would, but I will kill myself.
And I've got a broken
and I would, but I'd break the chair.
So we can't stand in our seats. VP Nel is calling it quits at the end of the season. 200 appearances for Edinburgh. 61 for Scotland, I believe.
62, I think it is. 62
for Scotland.
What about a moment's silence, which would be the worst thing for a podcast ever?
That would be a terrible thing for a podcast. No, we should do a moment's applause. Let's go. Moment's applause. Let's go.
That's horrible sound as well. Tinny as hell.
There you go. That's Timmy as hell for all you. Yeah, that's upset you all. WP Nel calling it quits, Craig. No disrespect to VP, but he was looking his age at the weekend.
Yeah, and you played tight head prop for 37 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, joking apart, we're now at a stage where, first things first, he's going to leave a huge hole in Edinburgh's game. He's also started already to leave a huge hole in Scotland's game.
100%, yeah.
And for someone who, those of you in the persuasion that like to moan that we don't have enough Scottish-born players, etc., you can't find someone who has thrown himself into Scotland and Scottish rugby as much as VP Nel has done so. Technically, I would say one of the top 3 props in the world when he was on tight head props in the world when he was on his game. Technically in the scrummage, especially, and I'm talking mainly when I say technically, I'm talking about his set piece work. Not, although, however, you may think that Now, who was it that put the ball between their legs the other day? Elliot Daly was the creator of the ball between the legs at the weekend, but VP has done that a couple of times for Edinburgh as well. Just if he doesn't go into scrum coaching, he will be lost to the world of rugby, because he is just one of the best in the world, and he's going to be hugely missed. And not only that, but just a good guy. Like, he was, I met him I've met him a few times, and every time he's got a bit of time to spend, have a chat. He had a long chat with my son Logan as well once, and he just, he may be going through. I think at that time he was injured. He went through a period of not getting picked and things like that, and he was always incredibly good for everybody that talked to him. So, no, thank you, VP. You've been an absolute superstar. Honestly, people may think that I'm getting over. I'm over egging the pudding here, but he is now a Scottish legend, and he is now an Edinburgh legend.
I think he absolutely is, Craig. I think you're spot on. And Iain, to come to you, those people who say that the people coming over and doing residency are just doing it for the money or doing it for the caps. VP's thrown himself into life in Scotland, so that's surely a classic example of where someone has moved away and made their career in a country and really believe in that country.
Oh yeah, no, him and Scooey are two of the most. I mean, VP Nel bought over Proper Pioneer. I bought a lot of Proper Pioneer stuff.
You're a big fan of that, aren't you?
I love that stuff, man. But Nel, he's been here for 12 years. He just had 200 games for Edinburgh at a nutritional position. The man has bought into being Scottish. He lives here. This is his home. They just had another. Well, how many kids have he got? Has he got here? Well, 3.
He's got a few, yeah.
And even when we thought he's on his way out, he was always like Snake.
Just back in, doesn't he?
Coming back in, and like Craig said, a technician, a proper scrummager. Going on. When I was talking about the Glasgow Newport game, we started talking about proper scrummagers in the game style, and one of the Welsh boys was like, he couldn't remember his name. He was like, and I mentioned Nel, was like, that's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah,
and he's going to leave a massive hole. We've tried to plug that with all kinds of Sebastians and Rays and all sorts, but we always come back to Nel. And even in even the last couple of years, like I think 2 seasons ago, he had to play 75 minutes. He was
yeah. So we're not that far out from him still playing almost full 80s. Yeah.
And I remember an incredible intercept try. I think it might have been against Leinster at Murrayfield many moons ago. We were talking like 2014 maybe. An absolute star
making his Scotland debut, of course. He made his debut in that 2015 World Cup alongside the beard himself, Iain.
Yeah, whereas Strauss had a couple of big games, the ruptured kidney one being a specialty.
Yeah.
But Nel, consistent, solid, good guy. Legend might be pushing it a little too far. Top tier.
Let Craig have it tonight. Come on, he's sad. Let him have it.
No, I think actually tight heads. I would.
If you look at
one of the best I've seen.
Yeah, if you look at Scottish tight heads, and there will be Scotland fans out there who have spat out their warm ale and said he's not a Scottish tight head, and have put down their lion rampant blanket that's covering them up.
Pure disgust.
In pure disgust. But I'm sorry, but he's a Scottish tight head, and he is one of the best Scottish tight heads we've ever had. For me, it's more about there's little things, and for me, being an Edinburgh fan and being a Scotland fan, there's nothing like watching VP come on, even if he was on the bench, come on to a team that are like, especially the French teams, loved it when it was the French teams, who think they've got a great scrum and a great forward pack, and he comes on and then just goes straight in. The scrum hits the ground. The referee's arm goes up in the way of Edinburgh, and he gets up, and the belly gets stuck out, and he turns around, and there's a massive smile on his face, and you just know the Pummer belly has come in and sorted that out, you know, and they've sorted these boys out, and I love it. I just love it. So yeah, I'm going to miss him hugely.
The smile comes on so big that the bit of tape around his head moves up a bit. You know?
And absolutely.
A little bit more of.
You know what? Well, those of you that know me and know fat people when we're bald, we have a wee crease at the back of the head. The smile comes on that he gets a wee crease at the front of the head as well. You know.
Well, I think there may be time towards the end of this season where we may have to really go into the WP Nel fan war, and we'll celebrate that. I think you'll be first to join that podcast, Craig.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be there 2 hours early.
Yeah.
First Scottish Rugby podcast, Bry.
your WP Nel fan fiction will get an outing that night.
Oh my word! I'll start writing it now.
Oh mama. Well, yeah. I mean that is incredible achievement. 200 caps for Edinburgh, without even sounding like I'm joking. And a great servant. I think he revolutionised the tight head position for Scotland. Ewan Murray was a brute, but wasn't a technically proficient scrummager. WP Nel was absolutely a technically proficient scrummager and changed. And I think you can see the influence of WP Nel on Xander and the guys that are coming. I say the guys that are coming through. There's nobody, but
see when Craig said about stepping into coaching, I forgot Petrus. He's just like Petrus.
Do you know what I was thinking as you were describing it? I would love to see Petrus against WP Nel just in a scrum and just see the technical proficiency of that scrum. It would be magnificent.
It would be R-rated, and it's mainly because of all the equipment that Petrus would bring along.
That would be your Pornhub, Craig. I know.
Force and fire, but with tight heads.
My man.
We need to make that happen. Petrus, if you're watching, give us a shout. We'll get you on with VP and we'll do this properly, and then we'll put it on OnlyFans, because that's the only place for that. Not even OnlyFans. OnlyFans.
Look at the length of that quad.
Oh, look at the V on those knees there. Oh my! Right. Before we get too aroused here, let's move on. Let's talk. The main event tonight. Scotland victory. Yeah, Scotland women going down to Wales, similar to the men, going down to Wales after Christ knows how many years, and finally getting a victory. Oh, did they make a meal of it, though? For me, Scotland were dominant throughout, and then had that classic Scotland thing of just having a wee phase where they let the opposition in. A 2018 win, aided by a missed conversion at the end, doesn't really do it justice, though, Craig. Scotland were by far and away the better team that day.
Absolutely, and this is no disrespect to the Welsh team, because the Welsh team are niggly, they are hard, they're strong, they're skilled, they're a very good upcoming team. The Welsh team.
They've got some great players in there as well.
They really have.
Clear. They've got some great individuals.
But where can the three of us take a minute, along with our Scottish Rugby Pod family who listen every week, and look back to the point of us saying, please give these women contracts because they can concentrate on their skills and they can concentrate on their game and they can move forward. Well, didn't that work well?
Lo and behold, yes.
Lo and behold,
funny that.
Their passing is accurate and it's fast.
Yep.
their work rate is incredibly hard. They look to break the line. Lisa Thompson looks fantastic at times. Their forward pack are absolutely out there. They left I would say they left 3 tries on the park.
Yeah.
And that was due to a mixture of good Welsh defence, but also maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves at ruck time and taking it on their own. Yeah. But for me, well, let's just say, talk to us about Helen Nelson 2 years ago, missing virtually every conversion and every penalty that was taken to it, and look at her now. On that first try, that touchline conversion was a peach. That was a professional rugby kicker's kick. She has shown that. Sorry, I'm going a bit Raj tonight, but on my side of things,
I've got a list of Raj to do in this game, Craig.
Yeah,
you're ticking some of our boxes. So
yeah, Scotland have come on incredibly well. A mixture of Brian Eason and the team themselves working hard. They've done a phenomenal job, and they may, we all know that they're not going to win the Six Nations because of the spectre that is England. But I think they've got the ability to show all the other teams, including France, a little bit of a slap around. They may not win it, but I'll tell you, they'll run them close.
They will, and absolutely, you're spot on, Craig. With the we've been bleating about it for years and years. That, funnily enough, when you give people professionalism, professional performances come with that. On that very point, Iain, hey, I'll come to you just now. You're on mute. You're making.
Yeah, no, yeah, just because of vaping, I don't want to do.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't want you bowing out of this. For me, at the weekend, the defence. You talk about what you can coach, the coachables in terms of professionalism. That defence was outrageous from Scotland. So good.
Yeah.
Campbell defence good, but also the tactical, organised stuff, outrageous.
Yeah, I think there was a game a few years ago against Italy. We were very prone to a quick inside ball. The ball coming out from the ruck, looks like going to play wide, then somebody dart in against the grain, and the break is open. We've learned from that, and also in terms of hitting rucks, defensive rucks especially, just disrupting the ball, making it slow. It's taken a while to get there, but we are there. And I thought Alex Stewart on her debut was excellent. Barely touched the ball for the first 50 minutes in attack, but she was always there kicking about breakdowns. She looks like a nuisance. Same with Davy Gallagher as well. She hasn't touched it for 20 minutes and then just burst through about 3 tackles. So I think we have a lot of. We're seeing strength and depth coming. The continuity of players, even the fact that a number of them play professionally together. They're in England, and also, as you said, John, the fact that the SRU are taking rugby seriously.
Finally, actually taking rugby seriously.
Yeah,
we'll come on to that in a second. Taking rugby seriously, women's rugby. We will come on to that in a second because they might not actually be doing that. Certainly, they're taking professional women's rugby seriously. Yeah, you touched on Alex Stewart there, Iain, Craig. One of the things that's impressed me about this Scotland team over the last couple of series, obviously we're seven wins on the bounce now. And one of the things that's impressed me a lot is players being able to come into the system and players then just dropping in, and it's whisper it, right? I know it's a stretch, but slightly Leinster-esque the way players can just come into the system and play the way Scotland women play.
Yeah, but this is the whole thing that we've got, the overall squad. There's been a lot of younger players being brought in now as well, and they're being obviously you've got the Edinburgh and Glasgow influence as well, so they're getting to bring the all of these players that are playing for the two teams have the opportunity to be considered, along with obviously the Premiership teams as well. But if you're coming through Edinburgh and Glasgow, then I hope that you're going to be in this situation where you're being taught a similar thing, and you're being, they've got a similar work ethic, a similar sort of basic setup. But Alex Stewart really, when she came on, because obviously, and this is no disrespect to Lana Skelton, but our lineouts were not great. So to steady the ship, and obviously now Lana's got a significant injury, so it wasn't great. So she's unable to play this weekend. But I think she came on and showed just an ability to just slot in, and that's the big thing. I think we've talked about this with the men's game regularly, about having this sort of having this depth, the depth of team, the ability to just slot in. Now we've got to a point with the men's game where they're struggling a little bit. You're not all that sure if the people on the bench are going to come on and give the same level that the first 15 are playing. But I really don't have a doubt. We're sitting here I'm looking at the squad for the weekend, and you've got Chloe Rowley on the bench. So
yeah.
It's fantastic. So yeah, and then you've got people like Emma Orr who's come in and the back line and really made that 13 jersey her own. And she's strong. She's aggressive, but also she's got a delicate touch with the ball as well at times. So really, really, just my heart sings for that sort of thing.
How much of an impact? Let's speak about Emma Orr, for example, Ian. How much of an impact has the Celtic Challenge Cup made to the Scotland side? There's a number of players who have played, particularly in that Edinburgh side, who were so successful in the Celtic Challenge. How big a deal is that for the Scotland national side?
Well, I think what we have, your core folk, your Malcolm, Nelson, Lisa Thompson, even though Lisa Thompson's still only like 24, 25, which I think is mental because she's
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, she's played so many games, and now she looks like one of a really top class 12. When she broke through, she was kind of flitting between 10 and 12 with Helen Nelson. Also, I think I seem to recall a pure heartbreaking last-minute penalty miss she did in her very, very early days.
Yeah.
But no, she's one of these people that's learned from that. She's from Hoyk, a bit of a rugby hotbed, as we know.
Yeah, heard that.
So, and then the new people coming in, they're fitting in around these youngsters well, and I think it is the fact they do get to play with them at Edinburgh fleetingly. I believe there's a bit of some people might have issues about that, but that's a longer story.
Well, I've had about that, but not in this instance. It's a good thing tonight, okay? It's a good thing tonight.
But, there's so many players that just managed to step in, and Orr especially, man, she's playing she's like Hugh Jones-esque.
Standing.
Hugh Jones-esque. That break she made on the outside, then the offload to Rona Lloyd. That was one of the problems last year. I thought the scheduling of the Six Nations while the Olympic Sevens women's is going on, we don't have that much strength and depth. You took away two of our best players in Thompson and Lloyd. As Rona Lloyd sits back on the pitch, she's one of those players that, when you see somebody fast, there's someone that's fast and someone that you go, holy, they're fast. And that turbo she has is incredible.
Talking about that though, Corinne Grant, stand up, yeah, absolutely stand up.
Another new person into camp, and what a talent she's got. And,
8 caps.
We're looking at that Scotland team. If we were talking in the autumn, Craig, what we were saying was Fran McGee. had that wing slot nailed down, all day, twice on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And now you've got, the fact that Chloe Rowley is a 15, but she can play 14 and 11. The fact you've got her, who was Scotland's number one player for a long time, sitting on the bench. You've got Fran McGee, obviously struggling. You've got other players kind of fighting for shirts. And then you've got this new cap coming in as well. The depth is outstanding at the moment.
It really is. And she, for me, she was, and I hate to compare players because I really, but
do it though.
She was a Darcy Graham-esque because not only has she got the speed, but she's got the step, she's got the ability with handoffs. She's not afraid of a bit of contact to get through the contact. Every time she got the ball, she was looking to run either side of the contact, and she, every time she took the ball and she went up to the player that was going to tackle her, I thought she's going past him. She's going to get past him, and she did. And it wasn't just a sheer pace thing. It was a mixture of step. It was a mixture of a handoff, but just really we again and we keep saying it. This is and people have said that you just can't throw money at a problem and solve it. Well, I totally understand that, but look at these. We're putting this sort of pathway in place for women's rugby in Scotland, and it's starting to pay off. And bringing these two teams and bringing Edinburgh and Glasgow into it has helped, and it's bringing on the players that maybe might not have got a viewing before by Scottish management. And I think Big Shade Monroe was quoted saying that he loves the heart of Scotland women, but when he was coaching, they need to learn to pass a bit more. And they need to, but they've got a lot of different things pulling them for time. Look at their passing now, and it just, as I say, my heart's singing at this moment in time. They deserve as many fans as we possibly can there. And as I said to our friend David on the Scrum of the Earth, and we said last week, Scotland women have saved rugby for me. At this moment in time, I'm no longer sitting there in a bad mood, kicking. I don't kick the dog before anyone says, but kicking things and being angry about it and hating rugby for after this Six Nations. Scotland women have really saved it for me, and I'm over the moon for them.
They are an exceptional side, and 6th in the world for the first time, and 7 in a row for the first time. The future is bright for Scotland women internationally. I'm just going to segue slightly to how the future isn't bright necessarily for women in general in Scottish rugby.
Here comes John with a downer bit.
I'm going to do it here because, do you know what? I want everyone to hear this. So, Patreon fans might have heard me talking about Fraserburgh Ladies a few weeks ago and their fixture against Lasswade, which the Lasswade team didn't necessarily want to play ball with an injury that had happened. They had 20 players. Fraserburgh had 10. And ultimately, the game got called off after 10 minutes. So, fast forward to this weekend, a development league fixture in the Cup once again. Fraserburgh Ladies were doing their bi-weekly 4-hour trip down to Edinburgh to play Dalkeith this weekend. And on their route, they had already started out. Now, Fraserburgh and Peterhead, both teams struggling for players, are trying to share players to basically fulfil fixtures just now. Now, the two girls in question, Peterborough girls, had not played at all for the club. And we're travelling with Fraserburgh. They have been registered by Fraserburgh, but the cup rules state that you have to be registered at the start of the tournament. This was communicated only after the Dalkeith director of rugby got involved, having searched every one of the Fraserburgh girls' names in the database to make sure that they were all eligible. So in the end up, Fraserburgh played with 15 players, 2 girls having cumulatively cracked up 8 hours of rugby, 8 hours of travelling, for no rugby. Under 18s, I might also add. Fraserburgh, after 10 minutes, went down to 14 players as their captain went off with a quite serious knee injury. Hopefully she's okay. She's hard as nails, so she tried to go back on, and I had to talk her out of it, but she was her knee was quite badly injured. The game continued in this vein, Fraserburgh going down a number after a number after a number as players went down. And funnily enough, as soon as they went down to 14, Dalkeith started scoring tries through their dual-registered Watsonians players and their number 9, who is clearly a bit of a talent. Basically, what we've got here, the Fraserburgh girls were trying to get these girls some game time. Now, the rules are absolute, and the there's no question that the girls are not eligible to play. However, in the spirit of the rules, in a development league, there's absolutely no reason why those girls shouldn't have been allowed to take the park. We're talking about the absolute lowest rungs of Scottish rugby. We're talking about girls going to play rugby for, in some cases, there was a lass making her debut for Fraserburgh. Why are we putting barriers up? Why, when you're talking about 2 clubs who are similarly, linked, similarly leagued, we're not talking about a feeder club into a lower club. Why are we putting barriers up for people playing rugby? Those 2 girls, I've got no doubt, they were absolutely exceptional about it. They first class. They laughed it off. But if that was me, I would be questioning whether I wanted to play rugby after travelling for 8 hours to not play. So it's an absolute disgrace. And can I just call out Dalkeith's attitude to it was utterly abysmal. And I'm really disappointed in them. As a club that states that they would never willingly take advantage of an opponent as part of their club values. I've got it in my phone. I took a picture of it. You did that. You absolutely did that. And you're a disgrace to think that that's okay. So that's my little rant about women's rugby. Why are we making it so difficult for girls to play rugby?
I think being involved in coaching women's rugby for 9 years, you come across many different things. The problem you have is that there's twofold things. You've got, especially in girls rugby, rather than women's rugby, you're now looking at players who are now, and teams that are now looking to, they see that women's rugby is not as full of teams as men's rugby, so yeah. they are looking to perform well,
find a space.
The issue you have is that and I'm not here to excuse anyone's actions this weekend, but
not all. I'll come back if you are.
when you've got teams who regularly do everything they can to play players that they shouldn't be playing, and I'm not saying Fraserburgh did this. I'm not pleased. That's not what I'm trying to say. When you come across this on a regular basis, you do sharpen your pencil at times when the names go on to scrums and you look down the team. And it happens in men's rugby and it happens in women's rugby. So it does get to a point where sometimes you want to call out and make sure that someone is not playing an ineligible player. However, and this is a big however, It's a development league. All you're trying to do is make sure that women and girls get to play rugby. I don't care who you are or where you're from. You want them to play rugby. Second of all, please don't lose track of that whole. You're not going to build your team by excluding anyone, and you're not going to build women's rugby by excluding anyone. What you're going to do is you're going to disappoint someone. I did it once, and it was a team member who had given up a day's pay to come and play for us. It was a cup game. It was incredibly close, and I got caught up in on the sideline work. I was and didn't put her onto the field to play. She'd given up a whole day's worth of wages to be there, and she sat on the bench and she didn't get a game. That will haunt me for the rest of my coaching career, and it has, because I always make sure everybody who is on the bench gets game time and gets more than 20 minutes, because they have given up their time. No matter who they are or what their performance is, they've made it onto that team. And especially in women's rugby, especially at the time when I was coaching women's rugby, you had 14 or 12 or 17. You had 1 week you had an embarrassment of riches. The next week you're scraping around to try and find players to play. So, I'm not excusing Dalkeith. What I'm trying to say is that, unfortunately, especially in the lower leagues, there's a real up and down in quality of personnel. And when I say personnel, I'm talking about coaches and directors of rugby, etc., etc. And so you do get it. And unfortunately, Fraserburgh women, you're not, the real. I would love to turn around and go, this is ridiculous. It's terrible. This should never happen. It happens all the time. And what upsets me as well, while we're on this discussion, John, and you guys have talked about it before.
Yeah, we have.
Sorry, Iain, I'm kind of not. We're kind of just yapping away
here.
We'll
come to Iain in a second. He's enjoying himself.
Quality of referees.
Oh,
referees
don't even.
Referees not. Okay, referees have to learn and they have to have the opportunity to. So they give up their day as well. Fair enough, but not turning up. Referees not turning up or issues on quality of referees, etc. Yeah. People who clubs who don't send a first aider with a team. Sometimes they don't send a coach with a women's team, because they can't spare anyone, or they're just into their first 15 and they're not bothered about the women's team. There's lots and lots of things that can be called out for women's rugby that are still happening within women's rugby. Believe me, this is still happening with men's rugby as well. But we're talking about women's rugby at this moment in time. What we need to do is two things. We need to be a bit more human when it comes to the rugby game, and understand what people are going through. I always, when I was coaching and we had teams that we thought maybe they were turning up with ringer players, etc., players that have never played before for them, but have, you've seen them cutting it up in Division 1 or whatever. Yeah. Well, you know what? Put them on the park, because it then helps. Let's have a go. And also the other side of things is it gives my team experience of playing against a stronger opposition
at the highest level. Yeah,
at the highest level.
That's the thing. And if that is what a team wants to do to win at that level, then if they can sleep at night with that, that's fine.
Well, the thing is, what you'll find is that they're the team that if they're bringing players in to play for them that are from a higher league. Or different teams. One day there's going to be they're going to have a crunch match, and the other team are going to have a crunch match, and they're going to take their players back. Yeah, and exactly. You're then at this situation where you are then struggling to fulfill a fixture. And believe me, you will not get the what's the word? The help and the grace of the other team that you're letting down, because of your past antics. So exactly. There's that. But really, for me, I think we just need to realise that women's rugby is growing at this moment in time. And the SRU still, unfortunately, because it's a growing thing, they have kind of let it become a little bit of like the Wild West at the moment.
Yeah, totally.
There are teams popping up everywhere. I was very, very lucky. I had what do they call it? An SRU regional manager who was with us. He's a good friend of mine now.
Yep.
And he said, look, what we're going to do is anyone who's interested in playing rugby in Fife, if they're from North Fife, from this point onwards, they're coming to the Howe. I'm going to recommend they go to the Howe Fife. And at this point, if they're from this point downwards, I'm going to recommend that they go to Kirkcaldy. And what that did was build two very, very good squads who played incredibly well. Kirkcaldy went up to the Prem. We managed to go from a nothing team to winning, securing promotion into National League One, which is the one below the Premiership, because we could build a squad and regularly turn out 15 to 18 players. And so there just needs to be a little bit of control from the SRU, a little bit of work from the SRU just to sort these little teething problems out. But I think DORs and people who are trying to build Scottish women's rugby, they need to settle down a wee touch and understand that it's still a growing sport, and we need. God, I'm going to get all cuddly here. We need to love each other a little bit more and know what we're trying to do here.
We just need to make opportunities for people to play rugby. And on that note, before we finish up for tonight, Ian's got the fingers out. He is Rage Against the Machine here.
No love for anyone.
No love for anyone in this instance.
Burn it all down.
Burn it all down. Well,
sorry, that's Scott Rugby Forum I'm thinking of. Sorry, but
yeah. Can I also give a shout out to the committee for the cup, who apparently so we Fraserburgh, in a desperate attempt to get their players game time, phoned up on a Sunday afternoon by that point, a committee member who was the least helpful person in the world. I'm not going to name his name because he might be a patron. But if he is,
we need that £3 a month.
If he is, your money is not welcome here. Go away, because you are the most obstructive person to get two under 18 girls a game of rugby on a Sunday afternoon. You were a disgrace, and to get a message 2 minutes before kickoff saying, yeah, I've only managed to contact one of the 6 committee members. It was like Game of Thrones, mate. I've only managed to get one of the High Council. Therefore, no dispensation has been given. You cannot play your players. Yes. The hand of the king must die. It was ridiculous.
Who's the wee one that died and everyone was happy with it? It's like the only time you've been happy to see a child die.
Joffrey, yeah. This guy was Joffrey, right? Yeah. And if
he's lovely in real life.
I don't even care. You were an utter. I can't say what you were because we're going to go to Patreon in a second. But you were a very unhelpful man.
I mean, I get moaned at for being like 8 minutes overtime when I hosted.
I don't even care because I got an email from them telling me I need to put more mid markers in anyway. So even if we are 40 minutes,
who said that? Who's they?
The man.
Who's the man? Who's the man?
Cammy's not the man.
But he's in league with the man, possibly.
We all know that McGinty is trying his best to shove us around a bit. I'm just because he's not here, I'm gonna call him out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, I'm sorry for that little rant, boys and girls, but we are going to head over. We will talk about Edinburgh and Glasgow in the Patreon.
We won't really.
Well, we might not. We'll get really excited and shout about things. But we're sorry. I had to get that rant into the main pod because I want everyone to hear this. Scottish women's rugby, we need empathy. We need understanding. We need people to be playing rugby. We don't need absolute BS rules that mean people can't play rugby. Okay? That's all I'm shouting about. Anyway. On that note, we will head over to our Patreon. What are you playing with? What are you eating, Ian?
Chocolate.
Okay, fair enough. Right, we're going to head over
I've
to
not
Patreon.
had my dinner yet. My dinner only turned up like 2 minutes before I came on.
Yeah, I've
so
not had
I've
dinner either. So we're going to head over to Patreon now. So anybody that is joining us on Patreon, apparently we've got 370 people viewing us on Twitter just now.
Really? Why?
That's quite hilarious. But I don't think that's real. That must be. the
Excuse
Russians.
me. Don't come back onto this podcast with your old antiquated ways. This is the new world order, and we have 373 people who are viewing us. Thank you, people. Thank you, you 373 people. We love you.
Yeah.
And if you're Russian, Chinese, or whatever you are,
Exports, yeah, exactly.
we're here
If
to
it
grab
was
you as
me and
a
Jake, it would be 586 porn bots watching us right.
Yeah. Well, if the I quote 251 sex bots want to come and join us on Patreon, we'll be delighted to have
absolutely,
you.
and I will spread the word of flippage. I will bring you the word of WP Nel and Fagerson.
Maybe
and
this is
Schumann.
what it is, Craig. WP Nel inspires sex bots. That's what it is.
See, last night I deleted all my Twitter porn bots, and I was doing it put me under 1,500 followers.
I was going to say you've now got 12 viewers.
It's just you and Craig, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Even Cammy's blocked me.
Anyway, yeah, he does that. It's fine. Right, we're moving on. It's good
Stephen
night
King.
from me. Good night from Ian. Good night from Craig.
Bio.
Oh, it's just a bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Oui.
Oh, which ones do I press? It's been